The first artist to inaugurate the one-to-one series is Stan Douglas. Stan Douglas is one of Canada's foremost artists. He works in film and video as well as in photography. And the gallery first acquired his work in 1990 and has also exhibited his work pretty widely over the last few decades. A little known fact is that Stan actually used to work at the gallery, so he's very familiar not only with the collection, but also who we are as an institution and as a museum. Stan Douglas's photograph on view was made in 2006 and is titled Wollachin. What you see here is a small community that over many years has seen various forms of extraction from the land. In the 1850s, this community was the site of mining. Those miners displaced indigenous communities as well as natural flora and fauna. Then the Pacific Railway was built and came into this community where it was quite active at that time. And since the 1970s, a quarry has been part of this community, which you can see in this photograph. This photograph is made in a cinematic way. It sort of has this sweeping look at the landscape. But if you look very carefully, you see all of these scars that the land bears due to these various levels of extraction over the years. The work that Stan chose from the gallery's collection is a painting by Lawren Harris titled The Spirit of the Remote Hills, made between 1957 and 1960. Now, Lawren Harris is one of Canada's foremost painters. He's best known as being part of the Group of Seven. The Group of Seven painters were very engaged with the Canadian landscape and, in fact, really pictured it as unspoiled landscape and really helped in creating a mythology of the landscape of Canada. What's interesting about Lawren Harris is that later in life, he became very engaged with thinking about abstraction through the land. And this particular painting encapsulates his ideas around abstraction, and particularly his notion around spirituality and thinking about nature and the way in which nature and spirituality are linked. One thing I love about working with contemporary artists is they not only help us understand the present, but they also, I think, help us understand and see the past through a different lens. And this is exactly what Stan is doing with this pairing. On one hand, we have his photograph made almost 100 years after Lawren Harris's painting. And his photograph depicts the BC landscape as one of a landscape of extraction, a landscape of displacement. And what you have in Lawren Harris's painting is this notion of the land as unspoiled and the ways in which spirituality and a love of nature are combined in this painting. So in a way, you have two bookends of a century in which BC artists and Canadian artists have thought about and are exploring the landscape and the mythology of the landscape here in Canada. And I think this pairing for me is particularly incisive in understanding how artists build on a history and then make it their own in the present.